Hello guys, this is the last training from the series about creating a clear vision and an organized plan for your life ahead. We went through different steps to create clarity for yourself, to plan your year, months, weeks, and days. We also talked about keeping a strong mindset along the way. And in today's last training, we will talk about 3 ways to keep your clarity and organization long term. You can find a link with all of the topics from this free YouTube series in the description below. So the 3 ways that we will go through today and that we use to keep our clarity and organization long term are weekly Friday reviews and planning for the next week, regular 3 months revisions, and the last one is using a tracker. This is actually a structure that you can use whenever you have a project or an area that you want to focus on. You want to create an even deeper clarity and to identify better what are the most leveraged tasks or the most important directions to work on this area. Since this is our last training, I want to take a minute and remind yourself again that in each training, you can take whatever resonates with you and feel free to ignore anything else that doesn't resonate with you, or you can change it in a way that fits you. You don't have to take anything that I or anybody on the internet is saying like you must do it exactly that way. If it sounds good, use it. If not, ignore it or adjust it in a way that fits you. Alongside with this training, my intention for you is to practice the fundamental skill of listening to yourself and doing things your way instead of blindly following somebody else's formula. So take what I say, test it, see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you, adjust it for yourself, and this is how you create your own formula that helps personally you to move your life forward. All right, so one of the things we all know is that life is quite chaotic and kind of demanding. Different things are happening all the time, and those things want your attention, want your time, your energy, your money. Everything seems too important for you, so you give your attention. And in that kind of environment, if you don't have ways to align yourself on a regular basis to what is important for you, to what you want, to your vision, you will get distracted. You will forget what you want. You will disconnect from what you consciously decided is important for you. And we will get involved in the chaos of life. And ultimately, you will drift more and more away from your vision. It's very easy to convince yourself that when you already have a vision and you already know what you want, you don't need to review it on a regular basis. You have other more important things to do, till you realize that while you were convincing yourself of all of this, you actually already got lost in the distractions of life. All of those things happen so imperceptibly that you probably won't recognize that any of that is happening to you. But you will wake up after 2 years and you will realize that you are so involved in the distractions of life that you don't actually remember what was your vision. You don't remember what was actually important for you. It happened to me, it happened to many people, and most probably it will happen to you. And if you want to personally go through this thing and understand what I mean, I support that, because I know that a lot of us need to go through things ourselves in order to understand them. But for those of you who want to skip years of getting lost in distractions, I can tell you that no matter if you think you need regular revision or you think you don't need them, no matter if you think you have time for them or you don't have time for them, doing regular revisions, especially 3-month revisions, is not optional. It's actually mandatory in order to stay clear and aligned on what is important for you. Clarity and alignment are not things that you create one time and they stay with you forever. Those are things that you need to keep going in your life or they will be gone. And with each revision, you actually become more and more clear, more and more aligned, and more committed to what you want and what is important for you. And this is what actually helps us to take actions more confidently and to stay committed to our vision and our goals long term. So if you're intentional about having clarity and organization in your life long term, having something that helps you stay aligned with your vision is not optional, it's mandatory. You have to have those things already planned in your day-to-day schedule, like the Friday review and the regular 3-month revisions. You can put those tasks in the Excel spreadsheet or in the software, whatever you are using, and you can put them now. I personally keep my Friday task on Friday. You can do it in any other day. It's not mandatory to be Friday. Usually people finish their working week on Friday, so that's why I put it on Friday. I also finish my working week on Friday. And then I have my 3-month tasks and I put it in the 3-month mark. Like I usually put it in the first week of March, June, September, and December. And whenever this week comes, I know that this is my month for doing a revision, for 3-month revision. And then I see during the month when is the best time for me to do it. And I just place that task on the exact date when I want to do it. And I do the 3-month revision during September. This is also the time that you want to do planning for the next year. It is really amazing to create clarity and plan for your next year in September instead of doing it in the last moment on Christmas or New Year's Eve or something like that. And I want to mention that sometimes the time for review and planning feels like wasting time, because when you have clarity, it feels like you don't need to maintain it. But I really can assure you that every revision is really worth it. And it adds up to keep you really clear and aligned, rather than for you to get lost without even noticing it. With every revision, you are actually aligning yourself to your vision the way the pilot aligned the plane to its trajectory, no matter what he is thinking. He knows that he needs to align the plane so the plane gets to the final destination. If he doesn't align the plane, who knows where it will land. So let's start by reviewing the Friday review and planning for the next week. And actually for this training, I created one document. I will put a link in the description below. And in this document, I wrote down the steps for doing this Friday review and also the steps for doing the regular 3-month revision. So I will share the document now and I will give some directions. You can copy those steps and you can edit them, change them the way you like it, and then use them for your Friday review and for your 3-month revision. This is the document, and in the first part, in the first spreadsheet is the Friday review, and in the second is the regular 3-month revision. So about the Friday review, the idea of this task is actually to review your current week and to plan your next week. Some of the things that I placed here in these tasks are, and again, you can edit them. It's for some people, those are a lot of things and they don't want to go through so many things. Me personally, it helps me because it reminds me different directions that I want to remind myself. But if you want, you can edit it, you can simplify it, you can delete some of those things, whatever you want. So the first thing I put is just to see one success of the week. As you know, most of us, we are a lot more focused on the negative, what happened negative during the week. So it's really nice to just think about and see what actually went right during this week. After each task, I usually have some kind of explanation, something that I want to remind myself. If that doesn't resonate, you can change it. But for me, it's like usually really nice to remind myself what I mean, what is important for a particular task. So for example, here, celebrate and praise yourself for every small step, every small or big step. And if you have done even one small step ahead on what is important for you, this is a win. So I want to remind myself that it doesn't matter how the end result for this week looks like. If I put some effort and I work on something that's important for me, this is already a win. So it also helps you to feel a little bit better about yourself, especially in the weeks that it seems like nothing happens or something bad happens. The next thing is I want to think about something difficult or something unpleasant that arose during this week and what I can do about it in the future. And that can be work related or personal related. It doesn't matter. The idea is to try to notice what has happened during the week that prevent me of doing a good work or feeling good just physically or mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, and what I can do in order to solve this problem. It can be, for example, I was not feeling well because I didn't have my meals prepared. So then I know I have to prepare my meals because this is something that really affects the way I feel, affects my productivity and everything else. Another thing that can be work related is I had a lot of meetings, and that actually prevent me of doing a great work on a area that is really important for me to do much deeper work. So then maybe you can reschedule your meetings on the afternoon, so you have enough time in the morning in order to do this deep work, or you can do some kind of other adjustments in order to do what is really important for you. So yeah, this task I really like it because it makes me notice, it helps me notice things that prevent me of moving forward and feeling good during the day, and it helps me think about how can I improve on this. The next is do the planning for the next week. So I usually here I just plan the next week. I move every task I have throughout the week, where and when I want to work on it. And then when all of the tasks are done and planned, I go through each step here down in order to check if everything is exactly the way I want to plan it. I ask myself if I have enough clear time and clear focus for your priority. And this is important because sometimes we say that something is important, is our priority, but we don't have enough time for that. And here again, I really like this thing to remind myself that you can ignore everything else with pleasure, not with a sense of missing out, because you are actually not missing out on anything when you are focused on something that is important personally for you. Everything else is kind of a noise, and it doesn't have to take so much of your time. So the first thing is to make sure you have enough time and enough focus for your priority. Then I like to think about each project and to identify what is the most leverage and most moving needle tasks in this project, because a lot of time we focus on easier tasks that are not really result producing, but we are wasting a lot of time in low level tasks that doesn't bring us anywhere forward. So this is also really important, just to make sure that whenever you have a plan for a project or an area and you have your plan written down, your steps, you want to focus on the most important step, that it gives you the biggest result, or it gives you money, or it gives you, yes, the most important result that helps you move forward. Then I ask myself if I can delete, automate, or delegate something. So for example, a lot of time we think that we are the only person that we can that we can do this particular task, but whenever we find ourselves with a lot of things and not enough time, maybe it's time to delete, automate, or delegate something. So I always, whenever I have, even if I don't have a lot of things to do during the week, I like to think about what I can delete, what is not that important, and maybe I'm making it important and I can actually not do it. What can automate, what can be automated, and what I can delegate. Sometimes you have the opportunity to do some of those things, and sometimes you don't have it because you have to do everything yourself. The next thing that I like to ask myself is, are those tasks in my zone of genius? So when we were talking about zone of genius in one of the first trainings, I talked about how the ultimate goal is for us to work mostly maybe 80-90% of our time in our zone of genius, the tasks and the areas that we really enjoy, that we can be really of service to people, and that they give us energy rather than take us energy. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. But for me, I like to have this reminder here that I want most of my time to be focused in my zone of genius. The next thing is there something in some day that doesn't feel good? And the idea here is to recognize when we have a task that really doesn't resonate with us and we don't like them, because one of the things I notice in myself and a lot of other people, when we start working on something, even when we are inspired and we are motivated to do it, sometimes it comes a moment where most of the things we do, we actually don't enjoy them. Like maybe some more repetitive task or task that you don't enjoy. And I want to remind myself that this is something that needs to be looked at, because if you allow those tasks that you don't like and you are negative about and you are kind of building resentment about them, if they become really long term in your schedule, you will start building resentment, and it will become something that takes energy from you rather than gives you energy. So this is something that also I want to identify early, instead of trying to push through things that I don't like. And yeah, here is a reminder again that too many unpleasant tasks create too much tension, and it's really not okay long term. It drains your joy and it makes you resent everything. So the idea is to focus on tasks that bring you joy and pleasure rather than resentment. So this is something that I placed for myself to check in whenever I am planning my week. I want to make sure that it doesn't have a lot of things that makes me really resentful. Then this is a reminder for myself, I have at least 4 hours of productive week, because I noticed that on the days that I don't have this 4 hour deep work, I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel productive. I feel like I wasted my time. I did low level tasks and I really was not happy with myself. So this is why I place this, to make sure that I have a 4 hour productive time for the day. Then the other thing that I know for myself, and that can be true for you, for some people it's actually not true, but I want to have only one day for overall stuff. For it doesn't matter if they're work related or personal related, I want all of the overall stuff to be in one day, and usually this day is Friday, sometimes it's Saturday. And if I really have a lot of overall stuff that I need to do, I usually have Friday and Saturday. But I know for some people that I have worked before, they told me that those overall stuff actually helps them distract themselves during the week, and they actually help them to focus on their main task after that better. But personally for me, that's not the case. So whenever I have something overall, it actually distracts me a lot. And yeah, I'm not really happy with myself in those times. So I want to make sure that I have only one day for overall stuff, and I'm not distracted for low level stuff all of the rest of the days. Then one of the things I really like is to have one day meeting with some interesting and pleasant friend or community. I think this is really important, at least for me. I noticed that I really feel good when I have about 2 social events during the week. For some people that can be more. Some people might want to connect with others 5 times or 6 times a week, and some others maybe just 1 time a week. But I noticed for myself that I really feel good when I have 1 to 2 social events during the week. So I try to plan something for myself that like keeps me socially engaged, and also this is kind of co-regulating. It makes you feel good and makes you feel part of a community. And then this is a reminder that if there is an anniversary of something or I hit some kind of milestone, I want to make sure that I have a plan to celebrate it, to just acknowledge myself that I have done something important for myself. And then having 2 days for rest without work. And usually because maybe you are not that way, or maybe you are, but I struggle for what to do in my free days, and I usually put ideas. Whenever I think about an idea what will be nice to do during a rest day, I write it down here, so I have different ideas what to do. And whenever I'm planning the next week on Friday, I usually think about, okay, what can I do during the next weekend, or maybe during the week, some of the days that will put a little bit more joy and pleasantness in my day. Then this is just a reminder here at the end. For everything that you are wondering, you can ask yourself, does this lead me to my vision that I want, or is it something that moves me further away from my vision? So this is something I talked about before, that when you have a clear vision and when you know what exactly you want, then you have a clear reference point to take big or small decisions. Whenever you are wondering about something, you can ask yourself, does this lead me closer and move me towards my vision, or is this moves me away and further from my vision? So these are the things that I like going through during the Friday reviews. Again, if this is too much for you, you can simplify it, you can delete some things. But for me, I actually edit it quite often. Maybe every couple of months I decided I want to change something. In the beginning, I was changing more things, but those last years, maybe just a little bit, some small things I can change in my reviews. But I do think it's a little bit too much text, but I also feel like it really helps me to align myself to what I want and to really stay focused on what is important. So I go through all of those things each week. And this is how it looks like in the Excel spreadsheet. Here is the task, and this is a little bit different, but the idea is you can take from the document, you can take the text from here, just copy it and place it in the Excel spreadsheet here. This is my task. Whenever I'm done with it, I just copy it, I place it in the next week, and I just place this as a done. Usually, whenever something is done, I put it in a color. And let's say everything here is done. I do my tasks. I just place it in the next week, and this is how I do it. And it's the same for the Alive software. You can just copy that, the whole thing, and you can place it in your weekly schedule on Friday, let's say here, and like this. And actually in the software, if you double click here, you can see, you can edit the things, and sometimes for easier reading you can just put a space between each task or something like this, whatever you want to do. Okay, so the next thing is the regular 3-month revision. When I started doing my vision, I knew that I need to review it regularly. But when the time came, I kept postponing it and postponing it. I really didn't want to do it, and I kind of convinced myself that I don't need to do it. That I know my vision and I'm right on track, and so on and so on. And then after about 1 year and a half, around 2 years, I realized that I'm absolutely lost. I was doing random things. I was jumping in too many different directions, and I was just chaotic, and I was just not aligned. When you lose your vision, you actually no longer can make aligned decisions because you don't have what to align yourself to. And then you start to make random decisions because everything seems important, and you feel kind of obligated to follow everything that demands your attention. So I remember I spent around 1 year and a half or 2 years convincing myself that I don't have to do a review, I don't have to align to my vision. But then I realized that I got really lost. And I realized that this is because I didn't do my regular revisions. And I realized that I didn't go through my revision because I didn't have clear steps to follow, and I was always confused what exactly to do during those revisions. And then at this moment I decided actually to create a clear step-by-step process to go through during the revision. So whenever I have the task to review my vision, I don't have to wonder, I don't have to be confused, what should I do, what exactly to go through. I just open the steps and I start doing my revision following those steps. So this is how I came up with those steps here, and I divided it by clarity, going through the planning steps, and then going through the mindset steps. And actually in each step I have some kind of description for each step, and I still have it here. But when I started working with some people, they told me that it became really a lot of text, that it was a little bit uncomfortable and overwhelming. So that's why I decided to just leave it like this, only the main steps that you go through the revision. And whenever you need a little bit more explanation or you want to remind yourself some things, you can just click here and read the reminders. I usually actually really like to remind myself some of those things because it helps me again align and remind myself things that are important to take into consideration. And some of the planning tasks are actually explained with different steps here in those descriptions. I will not go through each step now because basically the steps are all of the steps that we went through in the main training. We just go through them again just to review them and make some changes if needed. The idea is whenever you have the task for 3-month revision, you just open this document, and I will put a link in the description below, and you just go through each step. And usually I like to divide it in 3 separate days. The first day I really go through the clarity part. Then the second day I go through the planning part. And then the third day I go to the mindset part. And I really go through each of the descriptions. I think about them. I just really love to do it that way because it helps me, as I said, really align myself and remind myself what is important, what I want to focus on going forward, and so on. One of the best things of going through those steps is that with every revision, it helps you build even better clarity and even better commitment. I really think that clarity and commitment are not things that naturally comes. They are things that you create and you grow over time. And you will see how with every revision, your clarity and your commitment becomes more and more solid and stable. And then our actions and our mindset become more and more solid and stable. Because when we don't have clarity and when we don't have a plan, our actions and our mindset is kind of fluctuating. It depends on our mood or circumstances or how we feel and those things. But if we create clarity and plan and we solidify them with reviewing it regularly, then our actions and our mindset can be really solid and focused. So yes, those are the steps that I have for the 3-month revision. And basically, you have it in the Excel spreadsheet. Somewhere here on March, I think I placed maybe in the beginning. Yes, this is the revision vision. When you have this task, when you start to plan this week, you see during the month when exactly you can do your revision. Then you plan your revision, and whenever the task comes, you just go through the steps and do your revision. Also here, I want to show you whenever this is September, let me see, around September, maybe this week here, is revision vision and yearly planning. This is the thing I said that in September revision, we also do our planning for the next year. When you go through a couple of times about how you do your revision, you will decide how it's most pleasant for you to do it. As I said, I usually really enjoy to have 3 days, and each day I go through clarity and planning and mindset, and I allow myself to have enough time to think about what I want to do in the next 3 months, and just to remind myself and to align myself what's important for me. And whenever the task is done, I just mark it as done and move on to the next thing. So that's about it for the 3-month revision. As I said, I will place the link with the steps in the description below, so you can copy the file and you can place it in your drive or somewhere else, wherever you want to have it. And the final thing I want to talk about in today's training is the tracker tab. Here is how it looks like in the Excel spreadsheet, and here is how it looks like in the Live software. This is actually the most recent thing that I have added in the spreadsheet and in the software. I still experiment with it, but the idea is that whenever you have a project or an area that you want to work on and you want to create even deeper, bigger clarity about it and identify what are the most leveraged tasks or the most important directions you want to focus on, you can use that tab. Usually you can write a lot of things, as you saw here. You can write a lot of things in the parts for the task in the weekly part, but in the tracker you actually have the structure to place them in different ways in order for you to create a little bit more clarity and to identify better what is the problem or what are the main things that you want to work on and what is the next step that you want to focus on. The example I have here is about health. So the first thing is the area to track. And here you can write down any area that you want to create a little bit more clarity. Here you can add different areas. But let's say the area that you want to see is health. Then the second part is to identify what are the most important steps to the result you want to achieve. And for health, let's say those are the most important directions that we need to look at in order to see where is our problem, like food, movement, sleep, stress management, having a purpose, having fun, having good relationships. So if you don't feel good in your health, you can just write down all of the main areas and then decide which is the area that you want to focus on. Then the next part is, what are 1 to 3 clear practical things that you can do that will move the needle the most for the next period? It can be week, it can be 1 month, it could be 3 months. But the idea is to focus on only on the most leveraged steps for this period. So for example, I actually made this example because I did that for health. I had some health problems and I really wanted to define better what exactly was going on. I have a very low level energy and I was wondering, is it sleep, is it movement, is it food, is it stress? And sometimes it's really confusing. So I already was focusing on sleep, on movement, and then I started focusing on food. And this is how I actually realized what was the problem for me. I found that it was a gut problem. I will not go into much details. But the idea was, in the beginning, I was focusing only on sleep, improving sleep. Then I was focusing on improving movement and even focusing on improving stress, but none of this actually helped me. And whenever I started focusing only on food, then I actually started to make a lot of progress, and I started focusing even deeper on that till I actually realized what is the problem, what was I doing wrong in my eating habits. So that is how I was able to identify my problem when I was focusing just on one thing and then experimenting for this thing for the next month and then seeing the result. And then here, test the steps for this period, for the period that you decided here. See what is the result, see what is working, what is not working. And basically after each experiment, it's good to write down what's working for you, what is not working for you, because after that you have a lot more clarity what already you tested, what was working, what was not working, and that will help you again identify better what is happening. This is actually a very simplified example. Usually when you fill that form, it's a lot messy and you write down different things. But when you go through things, it becomes more and more simple. Like for example, in this health issue, I was writing a lot of things down here and then a lot of things down here. But then with time, I was able to see better what's working, what's not working, and then simplify it to actually this thing. And this problem have already resolved for me. So now when I think about it, I think it was really obvious what was the problem. But when I was in the moment in this health issue, I was really confused, and actually all of the doctors that I went through was not giving me a good resolution for this. So yes, it was kind of confusing, but whenever you use this form over and over again, it becomes more simple. And basically the biggest success I had with this form is with my health. I actually started because of I wanted to identify better what is the problem, and thankfully after about 2 years of struggling with this issue, I was able to identify what's wrong and to fix it. So you can use the tracker tab anytime you need to do something like that, creating a deeper clarity and organizing the information you have in a more clear structure in order to be able to see more clearly where is the problem and what can be the solution, just to identify only one, sometimes 3 directions to focus and to test for a particular period, and then see the result and experiment with something else. And the last thing I have here in this form is, if for a very, very long time you don't see a result, maybe you need to define better what is the right problem. And this is something I talked about in the last training about mindset, that it's good to identify where is the right problem in order to be able to define what can be the right solution. And we first go to clarity. Do I really want this thing for me authentically? If no, intentionally letting go of this thing. If yes, in what form is this most aligned personally for me? So it applies mostly better for goals rather than health issue or something like this. But even for health issue, for example, if you want to be really fit and it doesn't happen for a really long time, you can still use this steps in order to identify better the problem. Like, do you really want it? And if you really want it, how it looks like authentically for you. And then do you have a clear plan, like clear steps to go through, particular day and particular time to work on this goal, and so on. If you don't have a plan that is really clear and aligned with you, this is something that we want to fix first. And then if the clarity is there, the plan is there, but you still don't have results and you still don't work on this goal, you start to look at mindset. Like maybe you have an internal conflict that it needs to be addressed and it needs to be solved. These are some questions here that I wrote down here that you can think about it. But I really like these steps about clarity, plan, and mindset, and identifying where is the right problem. Like if you have a goal that for a long time you haven't achieved it, I really recommend just going through these steps. There is also one other part in this tracker that I haven't really used, but I think it's also nice to have. Like for example, if you this is for people that are a little bit more anxious, and they can use that whenever you feel yourself very anxious about your life. Maybe it's just general anxiety or an anxiety towards something in particular. You can write down three most stressful things that you have in your life. Here are some questions to answer yourself. Why is really stressful for you this particular situation? Maybe you can think about what you make it mean for yourself. Then what will happen if the things you are afraid of happen? Like how would you react if that was fully okay with you? Like if this situation that you are stressed about actually happened, what would that look like? And what would that look like if you're totally okay with this thing happening? Then what do you really want authentically for yourself in this area? Basically identifying what you really want, again, having better clarity, and then identifying what you can't control in this situation and what you can't control. So focusing on what you can control and giving to life or God or whatever you believe in, all of the rest that you cannot control. And yes, I found out that for people that are more anxious in general or in particular area, if they just write down 3 areas that they're stressing about the most and then think about those questions, that brings the anxiety down and lowers their stress. So you might find it helpful for you at some point just mentioning it. But yeah, this is the tracker tab. Again, use it whenever you want to create a deeper clarity about an area or about a goal, about an issue that you have, that you want to really identify the directions that you want to work on. All right, that's about for this video. Put your Friday review task and your 3-month revision in your schedule if they are not there already. You will find the link with the steps for the Friday task and the steps for 3-month revision in the description below. And of course, use the tracker tab whenever you need to create extra clarity about some area or a project you want to focus on. If you have any questions or comments about this or any other training of this series, let me know in the comments below and I will answer them. As this is the last training of this series, I really hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was helpful for you. You can find a link with all of the trainings in the series in the description below as well. If you want to receive more information from me and other helpful videos, you can subscribe to my email list. Again, link in the description below. If this video was helpful for you, give me a like and leave a comment below, even if it's your favorite emoji, because that way you support me and you will help other people see this video and eventually start creating more clarity, organization, and focus in their own life. Have a great day and thank you very much for watching.